Hi, everyone. Welcome to Evergrowing. I'm Sabrina. I'm the CEO of Evergrowth Coaching. Being a leader is hard. There are a lot of fears and lots of challenges working with people. And I'm here to share with you the biggest breakthroughs that I see in my coaching sessions working with 8 to 9 figure CEOs in tech. Now, some of these might be stories in leaders' most vulnerable moments, and some of them might be tactic frameworks and operational things that you can implement right away. And my goal is for you to listen to this podcast, implement a few things, and feel better as a leader and improve your organization in 30 days. So let's dive into the episode today. What is joy? If we're talking about joy, I first want to describe what joy is, because it's not really happiness. I think of happiness as an emotion and joy as a much deeper state. Joy is something that you can feel with your body. For me, it feels like warmth in my belly and warmth in my heart space. And I feel a deep sense of peace. And I feel like my senses are very alert, that I'm present to the moment and things around me. But I'm not overly alert. I'm not overly hypervigilant. I'm just like very, very peaceful, happy, joyful being here. And it just feels like sparks inside of me. So it feels really good to be this state. And I think many of us talk about wanting to be happy. We're actually looking for joy. Joy is a state that can be prolonged for longer, and happiness is an emotion. And an emotion can come and go, right? And I talk about joy a lot in coaching sessions because lots of times CEOs will come to me and say, hey, I'm not having fun anymore at my work. I used to be building a company in the early days and it was really fucking hard, but I was having fun. I think of that as they were experiencing joy, because joy requires a deeper meaning. You can be happy watching a Netflix comedy show and having a good time with your friends or your partner or your family. But to feel joy, you need to understand your purpose and be connected to the purpose and feel like you're making a big impact. When you're at the head of the organization, your job is to create behavioral change, right? At the end of the day, yes, there is a vision, there's a strategy, there are your OKRs and your goals, but without people, those are just words. Words cannot become reality and a dream and an outcome. In order for there to be life to your goals and your vision and your strategy, you as a leader need to think about, how am I motivating people? What am I creating in this environment? And how do I rally people around an idea? Leadership is simple as that, rallying people around an idea and working with people. There are many different types of motivators. So intrinsically building into the organizational hierarchy, there is the motivator of money, because everyone is employed and there's a salary, there's this amount of financial exchange that you're having with your employees or contractors, and their livelihood is tied to the company. Well, we know that that's not an enough motivator, because people switch jobs and you have high performers and you have low performers, and it's all the same, right? And if you're a CEO, you might have had the experience where you paid $200,000, $300,000 to hire your dream director of sales. And that result ended up being disappointing anyways. And the person left at another exciting opportunity right away. And when that happens, there's a lot of lost momentum. So going back to what we were talking about, how do we motivate people? Now, trust is really important, where people feel like there's trust and psychological safety, where they can tell you what they're thinking and they feel held by the organization. In an environment of trust, people will do better work. The other thing is joy. First of all, as a leader, if you're not feeling joy, people can tell. If you're feeling like you're having a lot of fun and flow with your work, people can tell. That will change the energy of the organization. So starting with yourself, I would be curious, if I were coaching you, to ask you about what's the most exciting part of your job. And if your answer is nothing is exciting, then I might ask you, when was the last time you had fun with your job? And why is that? How can we create more of that in your life? Not just inside of work. I might also be curious to talk about what brings you joy outside of work. When you create more joy, your productivity changes, your creativity changes, and your tolerance for challenging things changes. And when you show up that way, people will start to look at you differently and realize, okay, we're following someone who's truly loving what they do. And I want to be like that because joy is contagious. If we're motivating our employees and our workforce with joy, then how that's really practical is having all of the managers talk to their employees about, well, what do you enjoy doing? What makes you excited? What lights you up? I know it's not possible to have people do what they like 100% of the times, but can we increase that from 10% to 15%, from 30 to 40%, and arrange people's work that way? When an organization is so drilled deep in the joy and the excitement of doing the work, then people also feel really connected to the vision because they feel like the work that they're doing, not only they enjoy, it's also having a big impact and they can see how it ties to the vision and the strategy. Wow, you have a team that will work intrinsically motivated. They'll wake up excited to go meet other people who are also having fun doing their jobs. They'll do their best work. They might be more bold to suggesting new ideas. And it's just much more of a fun environment. And you'll see that retention is really, really great. And people don't really want to leave this job. So you're really safeguarding your organization and your future. When you don't have joy, you could have a lot of other things, right? You could be motivating people solely with the livelihood, with money. You could be motivating people with fear. You could be motivating people with FOMO, people thinking, oh, well, actually, I might want to be here. What if I'm missing out? But when you create those type of energies and emotions and dynamics, people are looking elsewhere and looking outside. People are not fully bringing their full selves to work. So then you miss out on the good ideas. And just remember, I think a leader's job is not really to come up with the best ideas, is to create an environment where people are having their best ideas. So I think when you miss out on creating joy, you actually miss out on the good ideas and you miss out on really great productivity. At the end of the day, I think you have to ask yourself, why are you doing this for? Why are you creating the company? Are you thinking that achieving a certain fundraising stage will bring you the sense of satisfaction and security so that people will finally validate you? Are you thinking, I will create a great financial outcome for myself and my family? That's the destination. I don't know what that might be. First of all, I might question if that's actually going to bring you the sense of feeling that you're looking for. Second of all, there's the journey. Throughout this journey, you have tremendous autonomy and, I would say, responsibility to create an experience where people's lives might be changed, right? And if you bring joy to it, if you help them experience joy and satisfaction in their work, you are changing lives, you're changing families. And how great would it be for it to be an additional benefit after you've achieved your goal? I think when an employee is unhappy, it's usually around the relationship between the manager and the employee. There's a saying that people don't leave their company, they leave their managers. There's also been a lot of research out there saying how your manager really affects your mental health, sometimes more than your family members, because of how much time you're spending with them. So that's I think the big ballpark cost, and there could be a lot of sub-symptoms and sub-root causes underneath. For example, when I speak to executive leadership teams and when they're having problems with retention, focus, and motivation, much of that is due to feeling like they don't have autonomy over their organization, which also is code language to saying, my CEO isn't listening to me. We're not communicating. We're not on the same page. When that relationship is broken, when the trust is falling through your hand like sand, and people aren't speaking to each other, resentment is harboring, it leads to lack of happiness. It leads to lack of productivity. And how do we fix that? Well, if you're a CEO, first of all, you need to know where your people stand. So becoming aware of where people's happiness levels are, joyful levels are. You can talk to them in one-on-ones. You can do surveys. You can hire someone who's really great at reading the room, your head of people, your COO, to observe the dynamics in the group and give you some feedback. After you've gathered some data, it's about finding where everyone is. If you're getting any kind of data about people feeling unsatisfied and not happy, then I would be interested in understanding what percentage of the leadership team isn't happy, what percentage of the team isn't happy, and how am I going to approach them? When I go talk to them, can I become a really good listener and listen to their concerns before answering, before giving solutions, and before getting defensive? At the end of the day, people just want to be listened to. People want to trust that you can communicate with each other. It's not really about the solution sometimes. So going on and listening tour and being very humble and receptive and not really addressing the issue really helps. And then gathering the data from all of your conversations, figure out some solutions, figure out some things to implement, and then go back to your people and say, these are the things that we're doing. The biggest mistake and the hardest thing to accomplish actually is the first stage. Many CEOs don't know what their leaders are thinking about them. They don't know whether they're actually happy or not, so that they cannot take any action.